There's if you YouTube Cessna 172, there's a guy on there that kind of has, it's a real professionally made, nicely made.
Okay.
He just, shows everybody his experiences on on flying.
Yeah, that's really nice. You will be on this side, and I'll be on the right side of the aircraft.
Okay. So, can you run down how to, I guess what you expect in a trip, or?
As far as well, I mean, first thing we got to do is we got to pre-flight the aircraft, right?
Right.
So we're going to make sure that everything's good to go. Our goal is to get you up in the air today, right? So learning the pre-flight process usually takes like a half an hour. But obviously our goal today is to get you up flying an airplane, right? So for the first intro flight, I'm going to do the pre-flight so that way I can get it out of the way for us and we'll get up flying. But it would consist of a pre-flight. Then we're going to do a run up, right? Because we always want to make sure everything's running well on the ground before we go hopping up in the air, right? And then after that, once we're up in the air, our practice area is out to the west. We'll get over there. We'll just let you get a handle on the airplane, right? Get a feel for going up and down, turning left and right, kicking the rudders left and right, and all that. And then we'll begin to show you how to get back into the airport, right?
Okay.
Just like a highway, there's a set way you merge on and off a highway.
Kind of like interstate road.
It's the same thing for an airport. There's certain ways that you come in and out of the airport. It's not just a free-for-all. Yep, and that'll kind of be our flight process for today. There's certain documents in the aircraft that always must be in there to make it legal. So for us, like a lot of these documents exist right there, and then the other part of the documentation exists right here.
Yeah, I was a over the road truck driver, and I'm familiar with having to do a log.
Oh yeah, all the.
And I take it you have to log your whole life.
Yeah.
Pretty much when you're off duty, and when you're on duty, and when you're in flight. Are there rules about the number of hours you can fly?
Yeah, well for me, like as a flight instructor, I'm only allowed to fly up to 8 hours a day.
Okay.
But there is no limit on you recreationally flying. So like for example, I could fly from now for another 8 hours straight as a flight instructor, but then I could just hop in my dad's airplane and fly around for 3 hours. Yeah, it might be kind of tough to keep that there.
Yeah, I know.
But we'll try our best. Okay, so there is a metal bar you can lift up in your seat, and that'll allow you to scoot forward. And the goal is you want to scoot forward enough to where you can comfortably reach those rudder pedals.
Okay.
And you'll kind of feel it lock in, like right there. Yep. You got your seat belt already on, or it might be still outside your door over there.
Actually, I'm sitting on it.
Okay. Okay, down there on your left side is a checklist.
Okay.
You can go ahead and grab that. And then also make sure that it looks like you're good. Yeah, I just want to make sure your feet aren't tangled up in the cord. But it looks like they're fine, so. Okay, so we always want to follow checklists, right? Because standardization is key in an aircraft, right? You don't want to ever be just going after it and hoping that you do everything right, okay? So we've done our pre-flight, our seat belts are on, our fuel selector valve right here. We have the ability, we have a dual fed system, but you can select either the left or right if you want to. In this aircraft, there's no reason for it. Okay, in my dad's airplane, you can only select either left or right. So I have a stopwatch every 30 minutes. I burn off the left, flip it, burn off the right. Okay, but for this aircraft, we leave it on both and we never take it off both. All right, our avionics power switch is right here. It's in the off position. Our brakes test and set. So basically, the only thing I can do right now is kind of flex my feet and make sure that I feel some resistance, which means that it should be a pressurized line for the most part, right? Okay.
So,
yeah, I mean, you can feel obviously, if you put your foot to the floor with the brake pedal, you would think that there was a leak.
So I may have to get a little bit closer.
Yeah. Yep. Cool. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, now you got these two pedals.
Okay, so the bottom of the pedal is going to control just your rudder solely. The tops of the pedals, those are your brakes. Okay, so when we're flying the airplane, you can kind of rest your heel on the floor and then kind of press on your, yeah, there you go, just like that. When we're on the ground, you kind of want to have them a little bit further up, so that way you can be pushing with your rudder and tapping a little bit of brake with the toe, with each toe, kind of like that. Yep. Because for the most part, you can get away with taxiing with just solely the rudder. It's got enough control effectiveness on the ground. But there will be times when you really want to turn it tight, right? So you want to tap a little bit of right or left brake to get it to turn a little quicker for you. Okay. Fully rich. Okay. Out would be lean, in would be all the way rich. And we just leave it rich the whole time. Okay. Carburetor heat is cold, so out is hot and in is cold. Okay, that's all we need to know for now. Master switch is on, so we're going to flip on your electrical system again. And then we're going to give it 2 to 6 strokes on the primer. So basically, if you're during the winter time, there's your actual primer over there. Since it's the summer, the engine's already probably like 70 degrees Fahrenheit. We can simply just pump the throttle 2 or 3 times, and that activates an accelerator jet in the carburetor. So that's kind of spraying a little bit of fuel up into our carburetor. Okay. One thing that's very important is we want to open the window, clear prop, and that would be so that way no one's, you know, if somebody was laying around the airplane looking at something and they didn't realize we're about to start the engine, they would get out of the way, right? So we're making sure that everyone's out of the way. And then we're going to turn the key over to the start position. Once it starts, I can let go of the key, and we'll try and have it about 800 RPM when we start, okay?
Okay.
All right, here we go. Okay. One thing we're looking for before even looking at a checklist is for a rise in oil pressure. Okay. Right, if we ever was sitting here and, you know, if it was 10 seconds and nothing happened, you'd want to cut the mixture because that'd be no good to be running an engine without oil. Okay. Right. On your door, I saw that on your door, you want to push that latch forward. That kind of locks your door in place. There you go. Good. All right. And our flashing beacon's on, avionics power switch is on, so now we can put on our headsets and we'll be able to talk to each other. How do you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Good. Awesome. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to taxi over here, and we're going to go ahead and do our run up. So I'm going to add in a little power and release the brakes. And then I'm going to try and use solely rudder pressure alone. I'm not using any brake right now. And you can see it does a pretty good job of turning. And then that completes our before takeoff check. Okay, so our normal takeoff, our flaps will be 0 to 10. We'll leave them at 0 for this takeoff. Our carburetor heat will be cold. We'll bring the throttle all the way in. We'll rotate at 55 knots, and we'll climb between 70 and 80. Here at Sky King Airport, we are an uncontrolled field, is what you would call it, right? And so if you hear that guy, he called Sky King traffic, right? So there's a helicopter 5 miles to the west who's flying east right now. So I'm going to make a call, and I'm going to say that we're departing this runway right here, and that we're going to fly straight west and have him stay on the north side of us, okay? Okay. Do you have any questions about anything so far?
Not really. I can't think of anything right off, but I'm still taking it in.
Exactly, yeah. That's what I always tell, like the first 5 hours, you almost have no questions because you're just soaking it in, right?
Yeah.
You're just trying to hear all you can and talk, right?
Yeah, it's all sensory overload, but
Yeah. No, you'll eventually get to the point where you got it, right? 122.80, this radio frequency, that is what we use at Sky King Airport. Okay. You're familiar with radio, so you should probably understand this pretty quickly. This means I'm transmitting on COM 2.
Okay.
Right. If I wanted to be on COM 1, it would be up. Here would be COM 1. If I want to listen to both COM 1 and 2, I'd flip that down to phone, so we hear it in our headphones, right? And then if I only want to listen to get 1 again, I'd flip it to the off position, and now we're only transmitting and listening on radio 1. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of turn here, and we're going to see if we can.
yeah, there's that little rain bin right there in front of you. Straight south to that, about 2 blocks from my house. Oh, really? Yeah, I can see my house right now. It looks different from Google Earth. Yeah. The minimum age to fly is 16. Is the minimum age to fly 16? Okay. Because I got a 18-year-old and a 15-year-old. I wouldn't mind getting. I see the airport on the map.
Yep. So we're not going to be landing on the plane that we're going to be landing on the opposite direction. See that at the place that's inside?
Yeah. Because that gives you more lift.
Yeah, and it's more stability.
Okay.
Yeah,
You're not hitting the ground as fast.
exactly. It's all about ground speed, right? If you have a tailwind, you might be one safe indicator to aim at your ground speed very fast. That's why you can land it that way your ground speed is very slow. me is to be coming in at about 65 knots.
That was really smooth.
Yeah. I'd like to say that I've done it.
If it weren't for the bumps on the roadway, wouldn't or runway, you wouldn't feel anything.
I know, yeah. I know. And it's funny because some people have said that to me, or like you didn't say it in a derogatory term, but some people have been like, oh my God, this runway's horrible. Like, why don't you do that? I said, well, the owner's in the building. Why don't you go tell them to pay for a new runway?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's funny. They're like, oh, okay, well, if you don't like it, then why don't you go tell Mr. Brown in there that he should go pay $750,000 for a new runway?
Yeah, and
And you just want to go in there and see what Mr. Fox is. Yeah, I know, it is a little bumpy though. We do need to retar some of the intersections and whatnot. But it's a great airport. I really like it a lot.